There's a lot of mysteries here. 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck had just returned to Utah after coming to Southern California for her grandmother's funeral. Her parents said they last heard from her when she texted them after her flight landed safely last Monday. After that, she ordered a lift to an address in North Salt Lake. But friends say Lueck didn't live there and they don't know why she went there. Lueck has been absent on social media, and her friends and sorority sisters have been passing out flyers hoping someone will come forward with information. Lyft told CBS News they're actively assisting law enforcement with their investigation and that there were no irregularities with the ride. She was dropped off and the driver continued taking other customers immediately. The family is from Southern California and they're now working to get subpoenas for her phone records to hopefully try to piece some of this together.
Salt Lake City, Utah. In the stillness of the night at Hatch Park, what seemed like an innocent meeting turned into a tragedy. A 23-year-old woman lost her life due to severe head trauma, and the man who appeared from the shadows that night was ultimately sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Mackenzie Lueck, a 23-year-old woman from El Segundo, was the second of 4 children and the only daughter in her family. From an early age, she stood out for her energetic personality, optimism, and deep passion for sports. She loved biking along the coast, competing on the swim team, playing water polo, and cheering enthusiastically from the sidelines whenever her school's football team played. Friends and coaches described her as someone who never gave up, always pushing herself beyond her limits. When it came time to choose a university, Mackenzie, driven by her desire for independence and her curiosity about the world beyond her comfort zone, decided to leave her California hometown. She chose the University of Utah, about 700 miles away, where she majored in biology and minored in health, dreaming of one day becoming a nurse or working in community care. That decision marked a defining turning point in her life. A young woman full of energy, always reaching toward the future. At the University of Utah, Mackenzie was accepted into Alpha Chi Omega, a prestigious sorority known for its strict academic standards, sense of responsibility, and strong community spirit. Members were required to maintain a minimum GPA of 2.5 and actively participate in volunteer activities, which quickly filled what little free time she had. Alongside her studies, Mackenzie worked 2 part-time jobs to support herself, reflecting the independence and discipline she was always proud of. By her junior year, hoping to balance academics and personal life, she decided to lighten her course load and switch to part-time status, focusing on completing her degree with steady progress. She lived in a small townhouse off campus with her beloved pets, a hedgehog, 2 guinea pigs, and her cat, Nova, her closest companion, whom she considered family. Known for her humor and knack for spreading joy, Mackenzie once threw a full-on birthday party for Nova, inviting friends to celebrate with champagne, party hats, and a cake made of cat food. Her friends recalled that the party was not only fun, but also a perfect reflection of who Mackenzie was: affectionate, warm, and always eager to make others smile. Kennedy, one of her sorority sisters, remembered that Mackenzie was always the first to cook for everyone, paying attention to the smallest details like making sure everyone had enough to eat and their favorite drinks on hand. Despite her busy schedule, she always made time for friends, and her bright smile became her signature, so much so that when she wore braces, her lips would sometimes get sore from smiling too much. To Kennedy, Mackenzie was more than just a good friend. She was the embodiment of loyalty, warmth, and simple joy. qualities that made her a light in the lives of everyone around her. When the summer of 2019 arrived, Mackenzie's normally busy life grew heavier as she faced a devastating loss: the passing of her beloved grandmother. Her grandmother had always been her confidant, her encourager, and her emotional anchor throughout the years she had lived away from home. So when she received the sad news, Mackenzie immediately flew to Los Angeles to attend the funeral, spend time with her family, and say a final goodbye to her loved one. After the service, in the early morning hours of June 17th, at around 1 a.m. Utah time, her flight landed safely at Salt Lake City International Airport, in the quiet, nearly empty terminal. Mackenzie sent her mother a message. "Landed. Love you, Mama." A short but deeply affectionate text. It was the last message her mother, Diana, ever received from her. Just minutes later, Mackenzie opened her phone to request a ride, possibly through Uber or Lyft, to return home. When Diana replied, she noticed something strange. The familiar blue iMessage bubble had turned green, a sign that Mackenzie's phone might have lost its network connection or run out of battery. At first, she wasn't too worried, thinking her daughter might be busy or experiencing a signal issue near the airport. But as time went on, Mackenzie never responded again. In the hours that followed, and stretching into the next day, Mackenzie's phone remained completely silent. Friends, family, and even those who had just seen her at the funeral sent messages of comfort and support, but none received a single reply. At first, her silence didn't raise much alarm. Everyone assumed Mackenzie simply needed some time alone to rest after the emotional funeral and a long flight. However, to Kennedy, her close friend and sorority sister, something felt off. Kennedy recalled that Mackenzie was always active, talkative, and rarely disconnected from social media for long. The fact that she hadn't opened Snapchat, posted on Instagram, or responded to any messages deeply concerned her. She said that even when Mackenzie was upset, she would always reply just to let people know she was okay. Concerned, Kennedy began reaching out to mutual friends, asking if anyone had heard from Mackenzie, but everyone said the same thing. They hadn't been able to contact her either. What began as hours of silence slowly turned into days of growing anxiety. By the morning of June 20th, after 3 days without any response, Mackenzie's father, Greg Lueck, officially contacted the police and requested a welfare check.
Yeah, I'd like to get, if possible, have a wellness check done on my daughter. And I've been trying to get a hold of her, and her phone just tends to go to voicemail. I was just wondering if I could have somebody maybe go by her house and check on her.
When police received the welfare check request from Mackenzie's family, they immediately went to her residence. Her car was still parked neatly in front of the house, but when they knocked on the door, there was no response. And through the glass windows, they couldn't see any movement inside. The house was eerily quiet, as if its owner had just stepped out for a moment and never returned. Sensing something was wrong, officers began calling her friends, workplaces, and the university to gather information. That's when they discovered Mackenzie had missed an important exam, several work shifts, and even a wedding in California she had been excited to attend. Each small detail began forming a troubling picture. A responsible, energetic young woman had suddenly vanished without a trace. Nearly a week had passed since Mackenzie landed in Salt Lake City, yet her family and friends still had no information. As time pressed on, an official search was launched. Investigators began with the last confirmed place she was seen, Salt Lake City International Airport. Reviewing security footage, they saw Mackenzie clearly, walking alone from the plane to the baggage claim area, not speaking to anyone, and not appearing to be followed. About 40 minutes after landing, data from her rideshare app showed she had requested a Lyft ride to Hatch Park, a public park located in North Salt Lake, about 9 miles from her townhouse. That would become the last known trace of Mackenzie's movements that night.
There's a lot of mysteries here. 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck had just returned to Utah after coming to Southern California for her grandmother's funeral. Her parents said they last heard from her when she texted them after her flight landed safely last Monday. After that, she ordered a Lyft to an address in North Salt Lake, but friends say Lueck didn't live there and they don't know why she went there. Lueck has been absent on social media, and her friends and sorority sisters have been passing out flyers hoping someone will come forward with information. Lyft told CBS News they're actively assisting law enforcement with their investigation and that there were no irregularities with the ride. She was dropped off and the driver continued taking other customers immediately. The family is from Southern California and they're now working to get subpoenas for her phone records to hopefully try to piece some of this together.
After tracing her movements, police quickly identified and interviewed the Lyft driver who had taken Mackenzie that night. He confirmed that he had dropped her off safely at Hatch Park at around 2:30 a.m. and that she appeared completely calm, alert, and not at all frightened or anxious. During the ride, she mentioned briefly that she was meeting a friend, but did not reveal who it was. The driver admitted he found her destination a bit unusual. Hatch Park was a large public park that was nearly deserted at night. But Mackenzie's confident demeanor made him believe there was nothing to worry about. She even smiled and acknowledged that it was a strange meeting spot, then continued texting on her phone without offering further explanation. When the car stopped, the driver helped her retrieve her luggage and, in that brief moment, noticed headlights illuminating another vehicle already parked nearby. From the shadows, he saw a tall figure step out, though it was difficult to make out details in the dim light and distance. The person approached, and from the faint sound of their voices, the driver sensed that they seemed to know each other. There was no argument, no tension. Everything happened quietly and quickly. Once he was sure Mackenzie was safe, the driver left to continue his other rides for the night. His phone and GPS data matched his statement perfectly, confirming he had no involvement in her disappearance. While authorities said there was not yet enough evidence to suggest foul play, Mackenzie's friends grew increasingly alarmed. They knew she would never vanish without telling anyone, and their unease pushed them into action. From morning until night, dozens of volunteers spread across Salt Lake City, plastering missing posters on street poles, handing flyers to passing cars, local shops, and neighborhoods, hoping that someone, anyone, might have seen or heard something in the early hours of that morning. Each poster bore Mackenzie's bright, smiling face with bold letters that read, "Have you seen her?" A question that would haunt the entire city for days to come.
Missing posters continue to pepper Salt Lake City streets, hoping to find an answer to the question, what happened to Mackenzie Lueck?
We encourage the public to help us answer these lingering questions, such as who is the person she met in Hatch Park? Does Mackenzie have an alternate phone that she has used in the past or is using? Does she have social media accounts that we don't know about? Is anyone in contact with Mackenzie online currently or within the last week?
Now the SLCPD says that they don't even know the make or the model of that car, or even whether it was a man or a woman behind the wheel that morning. They say they have a tip line established. If anyone knows anything, they should call 801-799-4420. And so far, about 125 tips have come in on that line. They have also asked the FBI for their assistance in this investigation.
While the search was still unfolding under mounting tension, an unexpected breakthrough came when a man named Rob Joseph happened to see one of the missing posters featuring the 23-year-old woman. Mackenzie's radiant smile stopped him in his tracks, as he realized he had met her just a few weeks before she disappeared. Rob recalled that one evening in early June, he and a friend had met Mackenzie at a bar in downtown Salt Lake City. She left a strong impression on him, friendly, open, and always smiling throughout their conversation. They talked for about an hour over drinks, and during that time, Mackenzie casually mentioned that she had recently joined a dating website called Seeking Arrangement. The platform, known worldwide with tens of millions of users, describes itself as a place where successful individuals connect with younger people seeking financially supportive relationships. Rob said Mackenzie didn't share many details, only that she had been in 2 serious relationships before, was currently single, and wanted to try something new. To him, it had been nothing more than a lighthearted chat. But after learning about her disappearance, that memory suddenly became a critical clue. He told police everything, and investigators immediately recognized it as a potential new lead. Mackenzie's family and friends were stunned. None of them had known she used the site, suggesting she had kept that part of her life private. Police began theorizing that the person Mackenzie was meeting at Hatch Park in the early hours of the morning she vanished could be someone she met through that platform. Based on the information Rob provided, they searched her account and discovered that Mackenzie's profile had last been active on June 16th, just hours before her flight from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City, perfectly aligning with the timeline leading up to her mysterious disappearance.
Police say there's been no activity on her phone and her bank accounts have been untouched.
The man was soon identified in the investigation as Ayoola Ajayi, commonly known as AJ, a name that initially drew little attention because his appearance and background seemed perfectly ordinary. Recently divorced, he lived in a house near Hatch Park, the very area where Mackenzie was believed to have gone in the early hours of the morning she disappeared. According to records, AJ worked as a technical support specialist for Dell and occasionally took on part-time modeling jobs. Neighbors described him as polite and quiet, though he often worked late and kept mostly to himself. To police, all initial information portrayed him as an average citizen, no criminal record, no traffic violations, nothing outwardly suspicious. He rented out the basement of his 2-story home to a couple while living upstairs himself. However, those seemingly harmless details were soon overshadowed by a series of disturbing discoveries. When investigators dug deeper into AJ's academic and personal history, they found he had once attended Utah State University as an international student. But his studies had been interrupted several times due to frequent absences. Later, AJ obtained a green card, allowing him to live and work legally in Utah. In addition to his regular job, he had self-published an online novel, and that book quickly caught detectives' attention. In it, AJ wrote about a young man who witnesses 2 violent crimes and becomes obsessed with the line between good and evil. The protagonist describes burning remains to hide his guilt and expresses dark thoughts about taking another person's life to feel powerful. On his author profile page, AJ wrote, "I am a man who survived a dictatorship, escaped a real-life crime, and traveled the world." The The dramatic and unsettling tone of his writing sent chills down the spines of investigators. AJ's ex-wife, now living in Dallas, Texas, told investigators that she had completely cut off all contact with him because she was terrified by his disturbing behavior and threats during their marriage. According to her, AJ had repeatedly sent messages threatening to have people kidnap and harm her if she ever left him. Terrified, she changed her phone number, blocked him on every social media platform, and ultimately finalized their divorce in January 2019. When police dug deeper, they discovered that AJ had previously been investigated in 2014 for a serious assault and again in 2018 for allegations of harassment and inappropriate physical conduct toward a woman, though in both cases, no charges were filed due to insufficient evidence. These findings revealed that the seemingly polite man actually had a troubling history of threatening and dangerous behavior. When summoned for questioning, AJ tried to remain calm, insisting that he had never spoken to Mackenzie and didn't even know who she was. However, when detectives asked why his phone number appeared in Mackenzie's communication history, he stumbled, replying that maybe someone in my house used my phone to message her. His hesitant and evasive answer didn't lessen suspicion. It only convinced investigators further that he was hiding something. Another strange detail quickly caught investigators' attention when a local contractor named Brian came forward with a statement. He said that just a few weeks before Mackenzie's disappearance, AJ had contacted him via text message, asking for an estimate to build a special room inside his home. According to Brian, AJ's request was highly unusual. He wanted to construct a secret, completely soundproof room with a hidden door and a fingerprint lock, concealed behind a false wall. When asked why, AJ simply replied that his girlfriend was coming to visit, and he wanted the project finished before she arrived. He added that he needed the room to hide his alcohol, since his girlfriend was Mormon and didn't know he drank. At first, the explanation might have sounded harmless, but for an experienced contractor like Brian, it made no sense at all. He recalled feeling uneasy the moment he stepped inside AJ's house. The air was cold, the windows were completely covered, and AJ appeared unusually tense. After about 30 minutes of inspecting the property, Brian quietly turned to his nephew and said, "This doesn't feel right." The two left immediately and agreed not to take the job. A few days later, AJ continued to send messages, pushing Brian to accept the project. But he firmly refused. When police learned of this, they realized that AJ's request for a secret soundproof room could be directly connected to Mackenzie's disappearance, making it a significant lead in their investigation. Not long after, AJ voluntarily came to the police station, seemingly eager to show his cooperation. However, his story quickly began to shift. At first, AJ denied any contact with Mackenzie, but later admitted that he had spoken briefly with her through the Seeking Arrangement website. He claimed they exchanged only a few messages before Mackenzie stopped replying after he sent her a photo of himself.
So she stopped responding once I sent her my pictures. I thought maybe she just doesn't want my type of race, so I just stopped responding to her.
After hours of questioning and mounting pressure from investigators, AJ finally admitted that he and Mackenzie had exchanged messages in the days leading up to her disappearance. This confession became a crucial piece of evidence, allowing police to establish the legal basis needed to obtain a search warrant for AJ's residence in the Fair Park neighborhood of Salt Lake City.
Is there anyone else in there? Let's make sure. details.
When police began searching AJ's home in the Fair Park neighborhood, they immediately noticed a series of unsettling details that no one could dismiss as coincidence. In the master bedroom, the mattress that once sat in the middle of the room was completely gone, leaving an empty space on the wooden floor marked by clear signs of heavy scrubbing. Throughout the house, especially in the hallway and living room, there was a strong, lingering smell of bleach, evidence that someone had recently tried to clean thoroughly. As officers continued their search, they discovered that AJ had installed multiple small surveillance cameras throughout the property, including in the basement rental area, all connected to his personal devices. The young couple renting the basement told investigators that AJ had been acting strangely over the past few days, coming and going from the house at odd hours of the night, and that they had even seen him carrying a large gas can into the backyard.
Hi, it's the police department. Are you renting this room?
Yes.
Okay. We are going to be serving a warrant on this house. Is there anyone else in this room?
No, nobody's here, just me.
Just you?
Am I going to be able to come back in here?
It may be a while.
As police continued their search, AJ stood outside watching.
Yeah, if you want to move to the shade, that's fine, but don't move the door.
Oh, okay.
I don't want anything moved.
He soon asked if he could go somewhere else because he didn't want people staring at him.
But I will be there, and I don't have a phone, but if you guys walk in, I will sit where you can see me.
All right, AJ. So is that where you'll probably be?
Yeah, unless you want me to stay, I'm happy to stay.
No, you're welcome to leave if you want to. If we wanted to come talk to you, is that where you think you'll be?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good luck, man.
As police continued to search the house and the surrounding area, AJ tried to appear calm, walking along the street in front of his home, as if trying to distance himself from the attention. But at that moment, a neighbor approached officers and said they had smelled a strong, unusual odor around the time Mackenzie disappeared. The neighbor recalled that on that night, they had looked out their window and seen AJ in his backyard holding a gas can, pouring it across the ground and setting something on fire. At first, they assumed he was just burning trash, but the thick smoke and acrid smell made them uneasy. When asked for specifics, the neighbor pointed police to the exact spot where they had seen the flames. Investigators immediately examined the area and found evidence of a recent fire, scorched soil, scattered ash, and a large pit that looked as though it had been hastily dug up. They called in a specialized search team along with cadaver dogs. Within seconds of being released, one of the dogs picked up a scent, darted straight toward the pit, barked once, then lay down.
Highway 6410.
And then here's some more. Well, that's
Highway 641102.
But does that look like a bone or?
When the forensic team began digging deeper in the area where the search dog had alerted, they quickly uncovered evidence that brought the entire scene to a standstill. Beneath the soil, still carrying a faint burnt odor, investigators found a small bone fragment that preliminary field testing indicated was likely human. As they continued to carefully sift through the site, they discovered a piece of tissue with strands of hair still attached, appearing to be part of a scalp that had been charred, along with several other items warped by fire, a completely blackened iPhone, fragments of clothing turned to ash, and bits of burnt material scattered around the pit. All the evidence suggested that someone had deliberately attempted to destroy something in the backyard, but the heat of the fire had not been strong enough to erase the traces completely.
Hard to determine. I haven't touched anything, but looks like a newer black, possibly Apple phone.
After seizing all of AJ's electronic devices, including his laptop, phone, and personal hard drives, the police digital forensics team began analyzing the data stored inside. What they uncovered shocked everyone. The devices contained hundreds of images and videos involving acts of severe misconduct toward minors, including material depicting victims as young as about 4 years old.
What's going on, man?
So, detectives are ready to talk to you about everything that's going on real fast, so if you want to come, I'll give you a ride back to the house real quick.
But there's Fox News over there.
I know, I'm going to drive you back in my car. It's a Camry, so...
But
We'll stay away from the news.
Yeah, we're not going to go by the news.
But I don't want my face on the news.
I will do that so it does, okay? So stand up real quick.
We're just gonna.
Oh, yeah,
you up,
are
buddy.
you arresting me or something?
No. Stand up.
Then why
You're gonna be detained for a little bit.
You're being detained, but just for a second, okay? I got to put you in handcuffs just while we're driving.
Per policy,
Per
we're gonna.
We're just gonna go talk to detectives for a little bit.
Why are you detaining me?
Because you need to talk to detectives, and I need to transport you back. So my policy says every time someone's in my car, they will wear handcuffs. So that's why they're...
But there's a news over there.
They can come right back.
We're probably not gonna take. We'll take you to another spot so you're not by the news.
Okay?
We just hung
How
up.
did the news find out?
We were wondering the same thing.
Not long after police gathered enough preliminary evidence, they located AJ at a park just a few blocks from his home. He was quickly detained and brought back to the station for a second round of questioning. By this point, investigators had far more concrete leads: physical samples from the burn site and digital data from AJ's devices, which, although still pending forensic confirmation, were already enough to establish his direct link to the disappearance. The data revealed a chilling pattern. Both Mackenzie's and AJ's phone records showed identical missing location data during the same time frame. In the days that followed, the digital analysis team completed a detailed trace that sent shivers through everyone involved. Both of their phones had been recorded at Hatch Park at the exact same time, within less than a 1-minute window. Nearby traffic cameras also captured AJ's car turning into the park at 2:48 a.m. And just 10 minutes later, the last message from Mackenzie's phone was sent. Exactly 1 minute after that, at 2:59 a.m., her device shut off completely and was never turned on again.
So think about that for a second and put yourself in their shoes, and then start being honest with me. We have had a week and a half now to prepare, and we have been very busy because I care about Mackenzie, and I want her. I think you did care about her. I agree. And I know that there's more for you to tell me, and you're holding back, and I don't understand why. AJ, I just told you that your phone records and the location put you up at the meet. Do you think, honestly, and expect me to believe that you ended that conversation and somehow you and her location end up in the exact same spot?
Oh, I'm not doubting you. If I see that too, if I'm in your case, I would be asking myself, what are you asking me right now?
It's not a miraculous question.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Stuff doesn't just happen.
No.
Yes, I agree with you.
I'm telling you to explain that. And so far, you have not.
Well, how do I explain something I don't know?
Are you saying you don't know or you don't remember? Because those are two different things, AJ.
The location data continued to reveal undeniable evidence. After leaving Hatch Park, AJ's phone was recorded returning to the Fair Park area at 3:07 a.m., matching the location of his home. Throughout the interrogation, AJ tried to remain calm, telling investigators they were wasting their time focusing on him and that soon they'd realize this was just a dead end. However, that false confidence began to crumble as police presented more verified data points. Piece by piece, the puzzle was coming together, and the very phone AJ thought he had wiped clean became the silent witness, exposing his every move. The data showed that just one day after Mackenzie's disappearance, AJ drove north from Salt Lake City toward Logan Canyon, about 85 miles from his house. The area was rugged and heavily forested, with steep terrain and fast-flowing streams, making any search extremely difficult. However, by combining GPS coordinates with cell tower data, investigators were able to narrow down a specific search zone. After several hours combing the riverbank, they discovered several partially burned items scattered in the damp soil: a wallet, a handbag, an ID card bearing the name Mackenzie Lueck, and fragments of clothing. All had been damaged by fire but were still identifiable. Forensic analysis quickly confirmed that the belongings were indeed Mackenzie's.
In Utah, a tragic conclusion in the search for a missing college student. Police found the charred remains of 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck in the yard of the man accused of killing her.
Several charred items that were consistent with personal items of Mackenzie Lueck. Other charred material was located, which has now been determined to be female human tissue.
Not far from where police had discovered Mackenzie's identification and personal belongings, the search team continued expanding their sweep along the edge of Logan Canyon and unexpectedly came across a patch of ground that appeared to have been recently disturbed. When they began excavating, they uncovered a shallow grave containing the partially burned remains of a young woman. Surrounding evidence: plastic zip ties, a length of rope, and several scraps of fabric, all indicated that the victim had been restrained before her passing. Her hands were bound tightly behind her back, and her skull bore a large indentation at the back, a clear sign of severe trauma caused by a blunt object. Part of the scalp was missing, matching the tissue sample previously found in AJ's backyard in Fair Park. Every detail aligned perfectly. Forensic examination confirmed that the remains belonged to Mackenzie Lueck, and the cause of her passing was determined to be severe head trauma inflicted by a strong force.
We are filing charges of aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, and desecration of a body in the homicide of Mackenzie Lueck. This is one of the most difficult phone calls I've ever made, as both Greg and his wife Diana were devastated and heartbroken by this news.
Immediately after the forensic results were confirmed, police formally arrested 31-year-old Ayoola Ajayi on charges of kidnapping and causing the tragedy that took Mackenzie Lueck's life. He was escorted to the station in silence, his face expressionless, but his eyes showing exhaustion and confusion. The first court hearing was brief, lasting only about 2 minutes, during which AJ maintained his innocence and denied all charges. However, the prosecution presented a series of compelling pieces of evidence: phone data matching precise times and locations, physical evidence recovered from his property, forensic results from the remains, and testimony from both the neighbor and contractor, Brian. All of it pointed in one direction: that AJ was responsible for the heartbreaking end of the young woman's life. AJ's ex-wife, speaking from Dallas, said she was horrified and heartbroken by the news and was willing to testify in court to help ensure justice was served. As the case sent shockwaves through the entire state of Utah, reports indicated that prosecutors were considering the maximum penalty, the death sentence, making the upcoming trial one of the most closely followed in the region.
The man accused of killing University of Utah student Mackenzie Lueck has pleaded guilty to murder.
After months of investigation and faced with an overwhelming body of evidence, Ayoola Ajayi ultimately agreed to sign a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. Under the agreement, he admitted to committing aggravated homicide and the unlawful handling of Mackenzie Lueck's remains. In return, prosecutors agreed to drop several other charges, including aggravated kidnapping and obstruction of justice. The deal also resolved 2 separate cases AJ had been under investigation for, in which he admitted to physically assaulting and committing a serious violation against a woman in March 2018. Additionally, 19 felony counts related to the possession and distribution of illegal material involving minors that police had discovered on his devices were dismissed as part of the plea arrangement. Although he avoided the maximum sentence, AJ still faced a severe punishment for the devastation he had caused. At the final hearing, standing before the judge and the victim's family, Ayoola Ajayi coldly admitted that he had planned to take Mackenzie Lueck's life even before the two met at Hatch Park that morning. He confessed that before leaving his home, he deliberately turned off all security cameras to avoid leaving any recorded footage. When Mackenzie followed him back to his house, everything happened swiftly and brutally. AJ used zip ties to bind her hands behind her back and restricted her breathing by force. Mackenzie struggled and pleaded with him to stop, but he tightened a belt around her neck until she lost consciousness. According to the forensic report, Mackenzie's passing was caused by severe head trauma, though AJ refused to disclose exactly how it occurred. After committing the crime, he unlawfully handled her remains by burning them in his backyard. Then, days later, digging them up and transporting them to Logan Canyon, where he buried them. During the hearing, as he faced Mackenzie's parents, Greg and Diana Luke, AJ said in a trembling voice, "I am sorry for what I did. I deserve the punishment I'm about to receive. I know my words cannot bring her back." The courtroom fell silent, broken only by the sound of Mackenzie's mother's sobs echoing through the somber space. Although AJ had confessed, his true motive remained a mystery that continued to baffle both prosecutors and investigators. The district attorney stated, "Most serious cases we handle have a clear motive: financial, jealousy, or revenge. But in this case, there was none. He had never even met her in person before that night. Yet he still chose to act." The only conclusion the evidence supports is that Ayoola Ajayi wanted to experience what it felt like to commit evil. This was a killing driven purely by the desire for power and control, without any other reason. Those words not only illustrated AJ's chilling lack of humanity, but also deepened the anguish of those who loved Mackenzie, a young woman once full of ambition and light, whose future was stolen by an act of senseless cruelty.
Today, the man who pleaded guilty to murdering 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck, Ayoola Ajayi, was sentenced to life in prison without parole.
There is no sense of perfect justice here. There's just an accountability. And the one thing that our community can rest assured with, and her family can rest assured with, is that Mr. Ajayi will spend the rest of his life and he will die in prison.
Though the process is over, the memories and the scars for the Lueck family will always remain.
We are blessed and honored to have Mackenzie in our lives for the last 23 years.
The judge says Ajayi pled guilty to the 3 most severe criminal crimes. He will serve each of those crimes consecutively.
Katie, a close friend of Mackenzie, stressed that no one, regardless of their gender or dating life, deserves such a tragic outcome, and that Mackenzie bears no responsibility for what happened to her. Only one person is to blame, and we are here to hold him accountable. If Kenzie had known what would happen, she wouldn't have met that person at the park. Her passing is not her fault, and saying otherwise only causes pain. It hurts other victims out there. It's absurd. Friends and family have formed a nonprofit called Mackenzie's Voice. Their friend Ashley said, "We know that there really isn't a handbook, or guidelines, or a toolkit for friends or family when a loved one goes missing.
When Mackenzie went missing, the first thing we said is, what do we do? What is there to do?
Helping other families and friends figure out what to do when their loved one goes missing is the motivation behind Mackenzie's Voice. The nonprofit organization, started by the same friends who launched the initial search for Mackenzie last month, wants to provide that toolkit with resources such as media lists and guidelines for statements. Mackenzie's Voice also wants to provide educational opportunities for young men and women about safe online dating practices.
We were fortunate in a way where her case has gotten a lot of attention, and I don't know if we would have found her or this person if it didn't.
So they're paying it forward for Mackenzie.
She wanted to be a nurse, very service-oriented, and that's why we really want to pursue this nonprofit, because we know it's something that she would have wanted us to do.
Mackenzie's mother, Diana Lueck, shared through tears that her daughter was an innocent, genuine young woman who was endlessly loyal to her friends. She said Mackenzie had a kind heart, always putting others before herself, and that was what made everyone love her so deeply. Though the pain of her loss remains, Mackenzie's friends continue to honor her memory by celebrating the birthday of her beloved cat, Nova, the pet she adored as if it were her own child. They gather to laugh, share happy memories, recall Mackenzie's playful sense of humor, and the meals she loved to cook, reminding one another that her smile will forever be the light in their memories. Ashley, one of Mackenzie's closest friends, said that while the person responsible for the tragedy took away their beloved friend, he could never take away the strength, spirit, and compassion Mackenzie left behind. She said, "He may have taken our friend from us, but he will never take our voice or our faith. We will continue to fight for victims of violence in our community, and we will continue to use Mackenzie's voice to do good, to spread the kindness she always carried in her heart." Those words were not only a tribute, but also a promise that Mackenzie's legacy will live on through acts of kindness, through the work of Mackenzie's Voice, and in the hearts of everyone who loved her. The story of Mackenzie Lueck is not only a heartbreaking case recorded in the history of Salt Lake City, but also a powerful reminder of how fragile trust can be, and of the importance of protecting ourselves in today's modern world. At just 23 years old, she was full of dreams, love, and a desire to live life to the fullest. But one wrong encounter took it all away. From Mackenzie's story, we learn that vigilance, especially in online relationships, is never unnecessary. Always let someone you trust know when you're meeting someone new. Choose public places and listen to your instincts, because sometimes a single decision can change everything. Thank you for listening to today's story in True Crime Documentary, where we not only retell real cases, but also honor those who have been lost and remind each other to live with greater compassion and caution every day. If you were moved by the story of Mackenzie Lueck, please share this video to spread awareness about safety and justice, and leave a comment to remember her. Don't forget to like and subscribe to True Crime Documentary so you won't miss our next real-life story. See you in the next video, where we'll continue our journey to uncover stories of truth and justice.